部分。今天等你了。
但是你们能不能？
刚才也问我啊，我可以回半点去，无可奉告。我也不高兴。
哎，什么叫中国共产党啊？党叫干啥就干啥。
黑夜即将到来，一定要做好准备。
干死共产党！不干死共产党，绝不罢休！
消灭中共是正义的需要。
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back again to our Expose the CCP program. And today we're going to continue to expose the truth about the Chinese Communist Party. And we have a very interesting topic, and it's probably one of the hottest topics around the world, is the tariff that President Trump exposed on China. I think they had a deal during last Sunday's meeting in Switzerland. And but there must be something that is behind the scene. You know, we're going to use our intelligence from NFSC and discuss with the audiences today. And again, we welcome our three guests, Nina, Truth07, and Chris. You know, just say hi to everyone from Nina. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to join the show today and exposing more, take down the CCP news. Thank you.
Awesome. And Mr. Truth.
Hello, everyone. We wish you like our program, and we know the tariff war had a significant impact on the CCPs. They in their own, group harmony, and also in the world as well. But I think that they're going to play some stupid game as they always have. Most likely, they have lied and lied to the Trump administration. Let's see what's going to happen. Thank you.
Awesome. Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be on the show again today. And I'm looking forward to hear some great comments from all the guests here today. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, good to have all you three here. And let's play a video from President Trump's announcement, and we'll continue to discuss later. The video, please.
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs. Because they don't want to pay 25, 50, or 100% tariffs, so they're moving them back to the United States.
All right. I think he has a very, very big announcement. And initially we thought, the China probably will lift all his tariff. But right now, I think they had agreement, as President Trump announced, that China, he's still imposing about 30% tariff on China, while China is charging 10% back on U.S. I think it's a great movement. It's good for everybody. And, it shows the Chinese Communist Party is kneeling down toward the United States as they predicted. But also there's some interesting, like in the mainstream media in China, and the CCP is also touting about their success, and which is kind of odd, but it's their propaganda. They can do whatever they want. Let's break it down and look at the truth. And let's start from Nina. What is your takeaway? Do you think it's a big success for President Trump?
Yes, this is a very interesting video, and this is the situation right now is exactly as Mr. Miles predicted. How the American react, and how the CCP will react to this situation, and also Miles, how to say, basically, I think Mr. President Trump, he is playing this three-dimension chess. CCP is losing the game, and no matter how their propaganda broadcasts their win, they are losing in this game. And also yesterday, through the new Federal State of China intelligence revelation, they already exposed that the CCP already, how to say, sold the future generations welfare to America, opening the financial market and allowing the Western money to invest in the financial market in China and co-invest in, for example, the insurance industries and so on. So this kind of, how to say, betrayal to the Chinese people, this is completely not broadcast to the Chinese people. And this is our job. We are telling, the Chinese people what is really happening. Back to you.
Yeah, I think most of the Chinese people knows what's going on, because the tariff is there. They're going to be influenced because they're potentially losing jobs, losing their profit margin and everything. The economy of China will definitely be impacted by this extra 20%. And this extra 20% of tariff will also bring President Trump some additional budget to do his either roll out his tax return program or other programs, which is beneficial to the U.S. people. So that's definitely sounds like a big move. And although we have mentioned that it's only temporary, right? It's only 90 days. What's going to happen? It depends on the CCP stance. It depends on all the geopolitical situations around the globe. Okay, now that it goes to Chris. I know Taiwan is also probably impacted, but I think President Trump removed the semiconductor tariff because that's really the necessity in the U.S. because no one else besides TSMC can produce advanced chips. But what's your opinions on this win for President Trump?
I think if CCP has the boss, they don't need come to the negotiation tables. But of course, this tariff hurts the CCP economic badly. That's why they are forced to be negotiate on the table, and we can see the temporary result for now is President Trump is winning, and this time President Trump give the CCP a 90-day grace period, which is essentially an observation period to see whether the CCP is genuinely willing to change or will continue its usual tactics of deception and delay. Additionally, this time, there is a demand to open up the Chinese market. According to intelligence from the new federal state of China, the Chinese side has agreed to open financial licenses to the U.S., liberalizing its banking and insurance sectors. Furthermore, during President Trump's term, China is prohibited from issuing a gold-backed digital yuan and is allowed to develop rare earths and strategic minerals through a joint venture with American companies. So from this intelligence from NFSC, you can see it's a positive impact and and it's also a big contribution to take down the CCP. From the first point, the financial opening, introducing Western market-oriented principles and transparency requirements could weaken the Chinese Communist Party's absolute control over the financial system in the long term. This may undermine the CCP's economic foundation, as finance is a critical pillar for maintaining its stability. And like also that the U.S. financial institutions may bring independent auditing and regulatory standards, exposing corruptions or inefficiencies in CCP control state-owned enterprise, thereby increasing internal pressure on the CCP. And the third point is that the internationalization of financial markets could foster recognitions among China's middle class of free market and democratic values, indirectly supporting the takedowns communist ideology. And the fourth point is that the piercing the facade of forced financial stability, accelerating the exposure of the CCP's debt and capital bubbles. The fifth point is that introducing anti-money laundering mechanism and compliance system from U.S. institutions could facilitate the tracking of CCP's officials' assets. The sixth point is increasing public reliance on free markets, reducing trust in a CCP-controlled state-owned enterprise. And by the way, like we know that the China's banking industry is controlled by Wang Qishan, which will undoubtedly have an impact on him. And also that from the second point of the second intelligence point from the NFSC, like prohibition on issuing a gold-backed digital yuan, it will restrict it, and the restrict currency strategies. The CCP originally aimed to create a dollar alternatives with a digital yuan plus gold reserve model. If restricted, the CCP strategy for internationalizing its currency would be disrupted. And also that it will be a hold in the dollarization efforts. The CCP strategy to challenge the SWIFT system through digital currency will fail. And also that blocking the CCP from masking the credit collapse of the yuan with gold. This prevents the CCP from using gold to disguise the faltering creditworthiness of the yuan system. And the last one is that from the NFSC intelligence, we know that allowing joint ventures with U.S. companies to develop rare earths and strategic minerals. These impaired resource weaponization strategy. This undermines the CCP strategy of using resources as a geopolitical weapon, and also the worsened internal interest disruption. This will disrupt the CCP's resource elite system, leading to factional struggles and internal content. Like, so we know that from all these things that I just said, it's a good move from the President Trump, and also that in Taiwan, the Mr. Besant already announced that Taiwan has a good ideas that to show how Taiwan will co-op with the USA, and together Taiwan and America will come out with a very good deal in the future. So from what President Trump do, I think it's a total win for the American people, and also it will be a win for the people in Taiwan in the future. Let's just wait and see how this negotiation will go next.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything is accelerating toward a showdown time, right? Is the rest of the world going to stand with America and go against the communisms? Or, we all know the CCP is probably using all its resources, propaganda, spy network, all these to go against the US. I think the final war is imminent. Okay, let's go to Mr. Truth07. Could you share your opinions, please, with our audience?
Okay. Thanks. Well, I like what Chris Nina said. Basically, in a nutshell, you got the idea that this trade tariff war is a great, I think, creation by the 55th and the 57th president, Donald Trump. I think that's a great idea. He doesn't have any preperceptions of being as him who is he is. I think then the direct, the intuitive thinking start with the tariff war. What we have seen is that I just bring the picture more fresh in memory, is that what happened when Trump announced the tariff to like 125 and then 250. So that doesn't matter whether it's real or not, but that had immediate impact in the imports from CCP's China, from all these APP forms of trading less than $800 goods, like from Temu and Xingyin. That has resulted in immediately showing off those factories within a week, some within 2 days. They start to shut down immediately, and there are hundreds of workers just unemployed, which I don't like that idea, because they are all, we're Chinese and we love our people. The CCP is the problem, not the Chinese people, right? So, but have said that, it actually, if you look at the trade figures, Trump administration announced in the first week, the order actually reduced by like somewhat 60% or 70%. You know what happens when you don't have the order? I mean, then immediately the factory has to shut down. So that's why these factories owned by the CCP, I'm sure, in that end, the employment module cannot be continuous, because the wages are so low. It's called the blood and sweat factories. So it's a good idea, but in the same time, unemployment rate is very high in China. So that's not really good for Lao Beijing. Okay, but do you have to do that? Yes. If you don't do that, once CCP have the cash flow positive, in the second world economy, once they get the US dollars currency, what are they going to do? They're going to do the BGYs. Okay, so we're continuously to worsening, the economical, financial, and the security position of the United States, expanding the espionage. So that is a danger to the rest of the world. So we have to if we have to take the CCP, we have to jeopardize the economy and make this whole module cannot continues. So that's the first point, that what happened has been the impact really good. So CCP is very frightened. Although they try to bluff, they immediately find out if they have no semiconductor chips, advanced chips, they cannot run anything at all, because like the train, like Miles scored, the train will stop, the airplane will stop, will fall down, and the computer data center will not working. That really frightens CCP. That will result in a revolution of the working class or unemployed classes. That's a massive number. I think CCP will soon be gone. I think Trump is pretty kind. So then back to now, let's negotiate. So now next 90 days, you have to comply. Summer up all the great Chris's will give us the information from all the media. So then if the CCP doesn't comply in the 90 days, which is like let the market open, as you said, okay? When you sign the WTO stuff, then if you don't, then everyone is going to look at the CCP, and you've been, I mean, they already been lied many times. So I think the next step will be watching how CCP is going, while soften up the tariff, especially some goods the US needed daily stuff, then you might be just charging 10%. And then the rest of that, it's depending on the sectors of the goods and manufacturing, and then a different tariff applied. I think that's more like a tiled into anti-CCP in all aspects. So that interaction will bring an echo inside China. Our brothers sisters will see Trump is very serious, US, and then they might bear the unemployment impact for a short time, like 3 months. And then before that, if a Miles score come out, then we'll see CCP will be taken down. Remember, they have used the fentanyl to kill like 78,000 US people every year, and plus they have released the biological weapon, and then the COVID-19 virus gain of function research through, and then the rest of that, the mandate of World Health Organization's mandate for vaccination mandate, which killed millions of people. If we bring that into a confirmation that the CCP is not intentionally, leaked out the P4 lab in Wuhan for the biological weapon lab, but is actually intentionally released to the rest of the world. We know that. I think it's a couple of days before the Chinese New Year, they have shut down all the domestic air flight into each other, but then they only allow the Wuhan airport to fly to overseas. That's where they start to lighting up the viruses, and then get us all locking down. The rest of that story, everyone knows about it. And plus the consequences of human gene technology changing of our, emotion, psychology, and biology. That, I think, is going to be the one my Miles mentioned. That's only this web of that, what CCP have committed to a genocide of humanity, that would be enough for the rest of the world combined to take down CCP. Okay, back to you, Zee.
Thank you so much for all these comments, and I think it was all good. We're still exposing. Looks like we have a temporary win from Mr. President Trump, but there's still more precautions we need to take, because in his first term, we know that the China tried to sign a deal with the U.S., but they didn't really execute it. They just lied about it and released the virus, as Mr. Chris just said. So are they going to do the same thing this time? We're not sure, but let's watch the next video. There's still a lot of people in the Trump administration that are familiar with the CCP, know what they're going to do, and they're going to continue to caution people about their actions. And let's watch the video.
The only way we don't go to war with China is if their economy is demolished. Because I think if they have the money, we're going to war. If Russia has more money, they're going to keep expanding. They're going to do more. It's just who Putin is and who Xi is, and maybe it's who their government is. So my belief is we should do no trade with China. We should say today, you guys lie, cheat, and steal. Think about it. They're creating precursors that kill 78,000 Americans a year with fentanyl. They've never complied with the World Trade Organization. They don't comply with the terms of most favored nation. They don't comply with the Trump trade deal. There's not one thing they've complied with. So now if I did a deal with you and you lied to me, you think I'd do the second deal with you? No. I'd say, I don't want to do a deal with you. I don't trust what you're doing. I don't trust anything she says or does. I've got a friend in prison right now in China because he ran the newspaper in Hong Kong that talked about who she was. Jimmy Lai. He's been in solitary confinement for 4 years. That's what China is. So when I got to the Senate, I've been there 6 years now and 3 months, we bought 85% of the drones our federal government bought from China. Would you do that with your enemy? They decided to be our enemy. So it took me 5 years to just get the military not to buy them. It took me 6 years to finally our government, and now within 12 months, there will be no new Chinese drones licensed in this country. Our military still buys almost all of its drugs from China. Now that's stupidity. I mean, that is our logical, that's who's decided to be our enemy. This stuff's got to stop. Every time you buy anything from China, you're helping their government build a military to take away your freedoms. That's exactly what they're doing. They've already built, they have more ships than we do, they have more submarines than we do, they have a bigger military. They want to go to war with us. They want Taiwan. Taiwan is not part of China. Look at history. Taiwan was not. It's very small part of history was Taiwan part of China. But they're gonna do it. They're taking away the sovereignty of the Philippines. Those shoals are not part. They never were part of China, but they're doing that. So they are a despicable government. Not the people. The government is despicable.
Yeah, I think Senator Rick Scott has mentioned pretty clearly in his statement. I think I followed him for many years. He's always against the Chinese Communist Party. And good news, he tried to differentiate between the Chinese people and the CCP, because the evil regime of the communism is they want to take over the world. They want to establish a global government that completely ruin the rest of the people around the world to become their slaves, so they can take advantage of them and just make much profit as possible from them. But hopefully more and more people are realizing the danger of from the communisms, and we have to go against it. But what he mentioned is real. We have to cut the red trade. We have to cut off their funding source, but it's really challenging as well, isn't it? Let's start from Chris this time. Chris, what's your opinion? I think you can see more and more American people are waking up, but is it good enough? Hopefully more and more people are joining this war, this team against the communism.
I think the fact is that many countries has come to negotiate with the United States. That means these countries already choose sides. These countries want to still make business with the USA. So those 75 countries who come to negotiate with USA will work together closely. And also, once these countries work closely, then these countries can unite and then unite closely and then and targets the CCP. What we can do, for example, or maybe these countries can together and then impose a tariff toward the CCP. But this is just one of the things they might have to do. And then, but recently, if we see from the news, we can see that the Russia and Ukraine peace talk, and then the India-Pakistan peace talk, and also the US-China tariff negotiations in Geneva, Switzerland. That means these three news stories must be viewed together, because the Chinese Communist Party has realized that it's a strategy of igniting conflicts around the world to create chaos and divert US attention has failed. With President Trump's election winning, the pressure from tariffs has led to a severe decline in CCP's economy, as evidenced by the CCP's recent data cover-ups. Tariff have indeed has a significant impact on China's foreign trade. For various reasons, the CCP has been forced to come to the negotiation table, both to test the bottom line of the Trump's administration and to buy time through negotiations, hoping for a chance in change of the circumstance. This mirrors the U.S.-China trade agreements during President Trump's first term. Although a deal was signed, the CCP did not fully implement it, merely stalling and then attempting to shift the situation by unleashing the CCP virus. This time, forced back to the negotiating table, the CCP is likely to repeat its old tactics, pretending to cooperate while delaying. Perhaps like last time, they might even consider releasing another virus, right? Who knows? But regardless, it's clear that President Trump's second term is tougher than his first term. So I think in the future, what CCP is doing, all the countries are watching. Then and they have the 90 days period to see if they will fulfill what they promised this time. But anyway, whether the CCP choose not to open up or pretending to open up or genuinely opens up their market and fulfill the agreement, their future is doomed either way. Thank you.
Sorry, got an urgent call, but hanging up. Anyway, sorry, let's continue. And next, let's go to Nina.
Okay, I am fully agree with Chris. So what he said, China is doomed to the CCP is doomed to death. Yes, and just let's look back to 1 month ago on the 2nd of April, the Liberation Day. This is a wake-up call to the world, to the American people. What is really going on with the trade deal happening in the world? Like, this is the first time we saw Mr. President Trump holding the charts in front of the media and explaining what is the disadvantage that Americans suffers over the past decades, and the Chinese, also the rest of the countries, European countries, took the advantage of the American people. So this is a wake-up call. The mainstream media in the past was not reporting about it, but now the American 老百姓 or the Chinese 老百姓 or European 老百姓, everybody knows about it. And this is also started that people supporting his policy. And of course, now because of the supply chain is completely still a lot of the supply chains has the dependency on CCP manufacturing. But we have seen like this 90 days deal is not talking about the supply chain. They're talking about, okay, we're opening the door, let you to invest in the financial sector. You can invest in the insurance, but they are not talking about we will stop to remove our supply chain from China. They will continue to remove their critical sectors back to America and manufacture it in America. And this is Mr. Assad's called this is strategic decoupling. The decoupling is continuous, and whether Trump will believe that CCP will comply with the agreement, I don't think he trusts the CCP. And this 90-day deal, why he signed it? It is very important because right now, USA internal has a lot of crisis. They are facing this constitution crisis and a lot of pressures from various of sectors, and it's need time to build the supply chain in America. And exactly with this 90-day deal, they are buying the time to help those sectors solving the problems. And what will happen after 90 days? Whether they will solve the problem already, I think they have a higher chance of better situation than now. Maybe they already built up supply chain from the other East Asian countries, or like the Apple built up the manufacturing in India. And also maybe with the European Union, other nations already reached the trade deals. So the new form of the order will be formed up after 90 days. And then this will be the different situation. And if CCP is not stopping the fentanyl crisis, not stopping the supply, like allowing these drugs to toxic the American people, then it is come to the situation Trump can say, hey, now we need to hold the accountability of this CCP virus. You know, they release it from the Wuhan, you slaughter so many people, millions of population, and now we need to take you accountable. Back to you.
Awesome. That's a great one. We need to hold them accountable for sure. Time is short. Let's just go to Mr. Truth directly. Okay.
Yes, I think I basically agree with with Nina about the strategy the US is using and how they're going to take down the CCP in the timely manner, probably set up a date. I think our estimate, from what Miles Corbin told us, is that in the next 3 months, it seems pretty critical, which could be while we're waiting for 3 months to see how the CCP will change the behavior from always lying and always broke the promises. This time, adhering to what the negotiation and what they agreed to do, which is open the financial market to overseas investment, like as if treat like in Chinese companies owned by the CCP, most of the companies, right? So I think that means Trump is going to, and the MAGA movement together with the, of course, financial institutions in the United States, they're going to cut the slice of the cake from the CCP. But really, if you ask the question, who create these cake slices? It's still the Chinese people, isn't it? So isn't that before you have the CCP like the big wolf, but now you got the US, financials. They come, we know that, there's some sectors maybe never make money. They just change the way money is distributed or the income, okay, from the government. I mean, you see, Doji have found out a lot of misuse of the funds, for example, okay, corruptions and so on. So when they come, they bring that into it or not? So I think the transparency and accountability has to be done before I think you get another. I mean, we know CCP is actually a legitimate government because they are from Karl Marxists, okay, and then Soviet Union, Soviet Union then handed to the techniques to the CCP to control Chinese people, and they did with, of course, the money from the European and the United States. So what we really want then, from Chinese people's point of view, we really want them to open, shut down, take down the Great Wall, the Great Firewall, so all Chinese people can actually access the information like we're seeing in YouTube's and in Getter, okay, in X. This is the number one thing. We need to awaken the people up. We don't need really another group, okay, directly into. Although that might bring in a gradual changes. I think the Chinese people need to change now. They've been, for the last 74 years, they've been enslaved by the CCP, okay? They don't have any voting power. And if you buy a building in China, which I have, Okay, if you buy a apartment or a house, you don't have the land title certificate. All you have is a lease of the land from the CCP for 70 years. And what? You pay the full price for it? That's a joke. And then now bring like all kind of taxes up. So by the end of the day, people working the whole 3 generations, they couldn't afford the one apartment. And if once they did, then now the prices crashed by half. So the equity is gone. They're naked. So they don't have any financial power to regenerate any accumulation of wealth. We know, so they can only be enslaved by the CCP, by the 80% or 9% of the population, which are the CCPs. That depending on rank, you get different slice of the cakes, the power, and so on. But that is not what we really need. What the West need to remember that if you do business with the CCP, okay, what happens is the CCP have no boundaries. They down to the people, and they can just do the same. They are indeed doing that. So fentanyl, okay, also penetration of financial markets, steal of technologies, okay, and bring communism into campuses everywhere. So create the chaoses. So that is enough. I think if Americans doesn't wake up, American friend doesn't wake up, the CCP anytime. Think about it. They can have the join 85% of the military join about in China for 5 years, and then take them 6 years to decoupling the steel by some, I'm sure, parts and so on. I mean, that have the back door, which any mission you're going to engage, you probably backfired by the CCP's control. We've seen that in the balloon movement from the northwest of the United States across the continent, and they even stopped in Mr. Steve K. Bannon's house and just take a picture of where he lives and his surroundings. Plus, they actually spied on the nuclear weapon launch stations. We get several of them, but it takes them a week to decide to shoot it down or not shoot it down. Remember that? For me, it's just unbelievable that how the CCP, how mad the CCP can be, invading U.S. soil on top of the spy, and then. But as Miles said, they have about like 3 or 4 launch stations of this kind of spy, and the capable of with nuclear weapons head inside, and they can drop that. They can navigate that like 10 million in the U.S. space. What are you going to do with them? They might hide 1%, well, 0.1% of nuclear weapon. So they decide. CCP will decide when they're going to release that down. In second, U.S. finished. Well, why not people talk about this kind of capabilities? Only New Federal State of China, Miles go talking about. We're talking about that. So when the enemy is already on your doorstep, I hope everyone understand the chess game. They actually can slot you in a second with all kind of very cheap weapon and technology stolen from the West and manufactured into weapons. That needs to be in the agenda, and how we're going to deal with that. Is that too late? I don't think it's too late. I think you're going to need to do something. There are plenty of strategies, like the Miles already, shared that intel with the U.S. government, the FBI, CIA. Okay. But I haven't seen any action really taken. Maybe this is a potential disaster. Anytime if you press them too hard, they can backfire in a second. You have to surrender. Okay, if you don't want a nuclear weapon dropped in your soil. Back to you, Zee.
Right. I think the great comments from everyone, and it's definitely a big movement and a big transition period of time. And how they do this, can they do it perfectly? Probably cannot do it perfectly, but we have to cut the fundings from the Chinese Communist Party and stop them becoming stronger and stronger. I think all these are really good move, and hopefully very soon we're going to see a result or outcome very, very soon. So okay, I think it's about the time to wrap up. I think we have shared great opinions, and this is very important, very encouraging piece of information that we talk about. So I'll give the audiences some more time to wrap up, and we're going to call it. Let's start from Nina.
Okay, this is a great discussion today about the trade deal, and I believe the CCP opening the door is like in the chest to to the criminals, say, hey, look, I have the organs here. Which one you need? Take it. And this is completely sold out of the Chinese people. And I believe after 90 days, we will see who is still colluded with the CCP. And those Wall Street elite will be eventually exposed to the public, the sites. And the American people, the American law-abiding will take actions to remove those traitors of American people's welfare.
Yes, I think American people will eventually wake up. They're actually waking up. That's great. And Chris?
I think we are wishing or hoping that President Trump would do something more, like would do more damage to the CCP. But I think he's doing it, but not in the speed that we wishing for. But it's okay. It's okay. At least he is doing something right. So whatever he does, which can damage the CCP, I will support. And I believe that what President Trump's doing right now is hurting the CCP. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Last but not least, Mr. Truth.
Okay. I think that we have to have the strategy very clear. We have to prioritize what's really great threatening to the U.S. I think it is it's the CCP's nature of deception. Okay, misinformation, disinformation, and also internet censorship. So they can build such a great wall to make 1.7 billion, 1.4 billion Chinese people, our brothers, sisters, and relatives, co-workers, friends, make them being enslaved. So they cannot see what the truth is. Okay. So what we need to do by the Western-funded technology and the maintenance technology as well. So we need to urge that the Western countries, if you seriously want to protect your own asset, your future generations, you don't want your organ harvesting happen to yourself and your people around you, the loved ones, you better stop the CCP and let the Chinese people see what the truth is. Okay, they've been heavily brainwashed. So why not withdraw the support of the internet and and the firewall, which prevent the Chinese people seeing the rest of the world? I mean, that's not fair. You guys talking about the freedom of choice, the human rights, just give them the rights of freedom of speech, freedom of access to the same information, so we're in the same page, in the same platform. Then we can negotiate, and then Chinese people can really help you to, once the CCP is gone, we can help you to rebuild the whole economy, the supply chains, and we've got a great workmanship. Whatever technology already storing, it's already there in the process, in the manufacturing. So you might just use that asset, okay, to make the make the Western economy a little bit better off, not like the shutdown, the inflation. People are complaining. I mean, once people worked out the whatever, I mean, it doesn't improve the pocket money, and yet living expenses are too expensive. You might have your own domestic revolution. That's why the CCP have utilized that, okay, to threaten the government. And no, we should not take in that. We should just imagine if 1.4 billion Chinese people can access the internet outside of China. I mean, we got a jail, okay, a cyber jail. Basically, they cannot see, and they've been continuously brainwashed by the CCP. Say how terrible U.S. government is, and this whole ultra nationalist ideas. We're going to Taiwan is also going to take Taiwan. And maybe United States is too bad for us. We're going to kill the Americans. Those are the slogans during Chairman Mao's times and so on. I think one should not forget about that. This kind of disinformation has been everywhere, and CCP is very good about that. So that's number one. And we need to open really the cyber war CCP built up to capture all the Chinese people. I mean, the Chinese people are the very hard worker, Laobaixing. They create the whole flourish of supply chain. That's why Western people, country can enjoy, you know, very cheap every goods like textile, shoes, and so on. Otherwise, I mean, it will be like $1,000 per shoe for basically if you want to build that up. That's my opinion. I think that's the number one thing. Free the Chinese people, let them help you guys together to prevent the CCP, you know, to enslave Americans. That's what I think that should be done.
Yeah, that's a very strong conclusion. I think eventually, after taking down the Chinese Communist Party, I think the globe will work on toward the right direction and where the humanity want to go in the next step. And we all, you know, we're not most ordinary people. They just want to live a peaceful life and enjoy their family time, enjoy their after work hours with their families, and have a good living. That's very simple. But because of communism and different greedy, especially probably Wall Street entrepreneurs and investors, and they have ruined this peaceful life, and the inflations and all these disruptions in shifting the manufacturing capability outside the United States. And it's a pretty tough situation, but I'm also confident that we as a team, if we work on together, all the peace-loving people around the world, we're going to rebuild the world order and make a good life happening in the very near future. So again, thank you so much for all the audiences and also our guests showing up in today's show. And we have very lovely conversation, and the future is very bright. And we're looking forward to see you again in our next show. And thank you for watching. Bye.
You free Mao School and take down the CCP.
Right. Take down the CCP. Sure. Free Mao School.
能被这样征服。